You are listening to episode 5 of Affordable Italy, Living La Dolce Vita on a Bootstring. Trains, planes, and buses are easily within reach of today's beautiful, ancient, and modern town. Beaches are 20 to 25 minutes away, and year-round snow is nearby too. Join me as we explore Chieti, Abruzzo. Ciao! If expatriation and immigration are on your mind, you've looked at Italy and wondered, is it possible? I did. In 2019, I was certain we could do it. In 2020, the world changed, and due to our reaction to it, our situation changed as well. I was no longer certain that Italy was within our reach. Plus, rumors about taxes and visas had me both confused and worried. Thanks to my favorite podcast, Retire There with Gil and Jean, and a bevy of generous immigrants who've gone before, as well as a personality that tends to doggedly seek to turn lemons to limoncello, my dream was rekindled. I decided to get my questions answered directly from first-person sources already experiencing affordable Italy, living La Dolce Vita on a bootstring. Join me as we explore with expats and experts if a future in Italy could be on your horizon. Recently, an American friend shopping for property near the city we'll be covering today told me, it's like Florida, only when you're on the beach you see the mountains with snow behind you. That was intriguing. I've since discovered that many people consider Chieti, Abruzzo, a beautiful city located in the province of the same name and seated about a 25-minute drive from some of the region's most popular beaches on the Adriatic Sea. As of January 2022, according to ISTAT, the population of the city itself was 48,455, which makes it too large to qualify as one of the region's 7% flat tax towns. With views of the Gran Sasso and the Maiella as its mountainous backdrop and incredible proximity to gorgeous beaches along the coast, Chieti is a place of interesting contrasts. It's one of Italy's oldest cities, even older than Rome. There's a charming centro storico seated high atop a hill with a rich trove of cultural and historical sites nearby, including churches, a cathedral, palazzos, Roman ruins, and an amphitheater, even a museum of archaeology. These play against a sharp contrast down the hill, where Chieti Scalo has modern housing, malls, and likely all the amenities and vibe that made my friend think of Florida. A bike path called the Via Verde stretches for 23 miles along an old railroad line right on the coast, going from San Salvo Marina and arriving in Ortona. The bus service is reportedly robust, and Chieti has its own train station, which can link riders to Pescara, and eventually you could get to Rome. If the Eternal City isn't your destination, you could head north or south along the entire Adriatic coast, making your way to either Venice or southern Puglia. But listeners by now know why I'm covering Chieti. It's affordable. Joining me today is Rino di Bernardino. He responded to my recent tourist questions on a Facebook group about a beach town in Abruzzo that we're planning on visiting soon, and a conversation ensued. He revealed he would love to share with you his passion about the city he was born and has lived in almost his entire life, with a few years in Ireland and Germany as well. His personal interests include food, nature, personal growth, coaching, tourism, and traveling, which blend nicely into his business activities. He has an MBA and a keen interest in local real estate, believing that there's a huge gap between local agents and foreign buyers, especially when it comes to unbiased opinions. He understands that it is somewhat difficult to make contact with real estate agents in Italy, so he has developed One Stop Abruzzo, a company designed to help bridge communication gaps by providing high-quality videos of properties for either a buyer to evaluate properties from a distance more completely, or for sellers interested in marketing globally. He created a presence for One Stop Abruzzo on YouTube, where I found easy-to-understand videos of homes in the region in addition to adjunct information about the cultural and historical treasures around them. Rino is incredibly busy with a family as well, and we had one heck of a time finding a common hour. Thank you, Rino, for making time to share Chieti with us at midnight, your time.
Yes, it's true. It's midnight. Hopefully, I'm not too sleepy to speak.
But thank you so much for doing this for us.
No worries.
You are boots on the ground for listeners today who are interested in considering Chieti or surrounding regions as a potential home. And you're clearly in tune with the communication problems that develop when people are home shopping from a distance, as well as current real estate market in and around Chieti. What are some things you love about Chieti? Paint a picture for us, if you would, about what it's like to live there.
Nancy, thanks for having me in the podcast, and I'm always happy to bring interest in Chieti and my region. So thank you so much. And regarding Chieti, I have an history with this city. I'm originally from Bussi, which is a little town in the center of Abruzzo, but I studied in Chieti, and my wife is from Chieti, and both my sons are born in Chieti. So it's somewhat we're linked, me and the city. So but the city, it's very nice, like you mentioned, just below 50,000 people living here. So I think it's just right, proper size. There is the university, the hospital, you get the services, but you don't get that huge noise from big cities, and plus there is the historical center, which is very clean. It's relaxed. It's one of those cities that you can really have a good quality of life here. So I'm really happy living here.
Awesome. Whenever somebody tells me Florida or like California, the one word that comes to my mind is expensive.
Yeah, no. That couldn't possibly be the case here. No, absolutely, Nancy. I can tell. Of course, I'm doing real estate videos, so I know the real estate market, and especially in Chieti, compared to Chieti Scalo, which you also mentioned, where the university or the hospital is, prices are really not high for properties, but also for cost of living. You can really rent rooms or apartment for little money. Definitely not expensive.
Do you have a handle on what it would be in the range to rent a really nice finished 2-bedroom apartment or to buy a home or apartment that's a 2-bedroom in Chieti, either the Centro or Scalo?
Okay, I actually filmed a couple of videos in Chieti. One was an historical house from the early 900s, which was really cool, and it's priced at 89,000, and it's 2 rooms plus the kitchen plus a small courtyard, and it's really close to the public transportation and city center. So it's actually less, and I think it's also negotiable. You can get it from 80,000. This was a really nice property, so you can find even cheaper if you want. Chieti Scalo, like you mentioned, has larger houses, new apartments. So the architecture is different there. The investment type that they are doing is different because people there buy it for students or proximity to, not even Chieti is far away, but Chieti Scalo is even more close to Pescara and to the highway, so better connection in a way, or shorter trips. So the prices might be a little bit more expensive. And in terms of the rental, I think you can rent it for 500 to 650 monthly, an house.
For a 2-bedroom.
Yeah. Depending, of course, on the standards. If you go to luxury, there are some of the historical villas that maybe can reach, 900. But of course, you have all the opportunities.
Sure, all the range. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it does sound like there's an affordable range there for
Yeah.
middle income people that would be looking for a 2-bedroom. Interesting.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Definitely. There is opportunities here for those price.
You mentioned hospital a couple of times in that, university and hospital. Tell me a little bit about proximity to that hospital. What's it like? Easy to get to?
Yeah. It's also an amazing hospital, I have to say. It's, healthcare in Italy, it's highly regarded. It's free. I don't know exactly for the expats, but I think it's free anyway if you get residency. Not 100% sure, but it should be free. Possibly more than me. But
it's a part of the public system?
Yes.
If it's part of the public system, my understanding is, I'm not sure about Abruzzo's percentage, but for an expat that's not a dual citizen, it would be a percentage of your base income. So, for instance, I have a friend who lives in Puglia who spends 8% of her income to join the public healthcare system there. So, it's probably not far from that range in Abruzzo as well. So if it's public, yes, it would be free after that, after you pay that.
Must be probably the same. Yeah. And that hospital, to answer your question, is amazing because it's also an university hospital. How do you call it?
A teaching hospital. A teaching hospital.
Yeah. Basically, there's the university, and in literally 3 minutes walk, there's the hospital. It's one single giant area which has both. So you get always students and, research, and it's rather new, and it's close to the highway, the A14 highway. I don't know if you know what kind of highway it's, but
No.
it's an highway. Yeah, it's a major highway in Italy which goes from Taranto, which is in Puglia, up to Bologna, like straight to the east coast of Adriatic. So it's really, really close. Yeah.
Wow, that's wonderfully situated. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
How about the other things around healthcare, since we kind of started on that topic? The hospital sounds like that's amazing. There's always research wherever there's a teaching hospital. That's a big deal. Even here in the States, I would always choose a teaching hospital. What about things like doctors' offices, dentists, all the things that go along with healthcare?
Those private, we call them like private practitioners, maybe. Yeah, so we have plenty of them. For example, in Chieti specifically, there is one, for example, just I know because I had the surgery, in my eye. It's, PRK laser, and I did it in Chieti, and I have many reports from people, even coming from the north to have the surgery here because it was very cheap. It's below, I think it was 5 years ago, and it was below 2,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And now possibly, I don't know, maybe it's double it, but I mean, it's still pretty low. And but you can have it for free in the hospital. The difference is that you get priority if you go to the private practice.
I see.
Yeah. And of course, other doctors are always available. And I mean, the benefit of Chieti is also that it's only 15 kilometers from Pescara, which is 160,000 people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's, you get everything really within 15, 20 minutes drive. I work in Pescara, so I drive all days there, and it's commuting. It takes only 17 minutes, 16 minutes in the mornings. So it's straight.
Yeah. That's not even considered a commute where I live.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not driving 40 minutes. You're
exactly. You're right. We are spoiled in Italy. I often hear people, 20 kilometers, 13 miles, more or less, are too much. Guys, it's not too much.
No, really, it's not. Oh, comparatively.
Exactly.
Yeah. How about public transportation? And tell me a little bit. I saw that there is a good bus service, but talk to me about that. A lot of people are not going to want to own a car. Is it possible to not own a car and live a rich, full life there?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, not everywhere in Abruzzo. Of course, if you choose small towns, you always have public transport, but it's not like you have high frequency. Whereas in Chieti, you have the major bus line, which goes also to the train station and again to Pescara. It's one bus every 15 minutes. So
wow.
Yeah. So absolutely high frequency, and then you obviously have other areas that maybe are less covered. You still can go around. And you mentioned I lived in Berlin, so I might have high standards, because Berlin was really amazing in terms of public transport. So I cannot say it's the same here because you only have the bus and the train. You don't have any metro, but still it's possible to live here without the car. We have shopping malls, big supermarkets, grocery stores everywhere, and you can definitely stay here even without the car.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What about trains? Tell me a little bit more about what appears to be an awesome train situation.
Yeah. That's true. We are close to, like we were saying earlier, the A14 is the highway, but in parallel you have the railway, and basically from there you can get the Frecce. We call that arrows. The Frecce Argento are the trains from Trenitalia, which basically are fast train that goes to north and south. And I can go to Milan because I work there also. I'm based in Pescara, but I also have an office in Milan. And I go there in 4 hours and 14 minutes, which is not, it's not too bad. I mean, after Bologna, you get the real high speed. But from Pescara to Bologna, it's high speed. It's 200 kilometers per hour. I think it's 120 miles per hour. Something. So
I know it's fast. Yeah.
It's okay. It's not ultra fast, but it's fast, and so you can get the train easily, and also you have the airport.
Talk to me about that airport. Does it go international? Where's it go?
Yeah, no, the airport is really nice addition. It's not an international airport, meaning that there are no flights from the States. I think 10 years ago they attempted to have a New York flight. It was okay, but I mean it's a small airport. But on the other hand, on the summer you have lots of destinations. You have Krakow, Warsaw, Prague, Berlin as well, London all year, Brussels, Tirana, Bucharest. Yeah, you get at least 15 destinations. And in Europe, I'm not sure how the situation is in the States, but in Europe, flying domestically, it's really affordable. Like sometimes you can get flight tickets even from 90 euros round trip, really really cheap. So
Did you say
it's good.
90, 90,
Yeah,
90
nine
euros?
nine
Okay.
zero. Yeah, 90.
Okay, yeah, that's very reasonable.
Yeah. I mean, not always. In the summer, of course, you might
Yeah.
see prices rises, but I always found tickets. Worst case scenario, I don't know, might be 100 if you have to go to Prague. Maybe 150, but still, I mean, you are going to Czech Republic. It's not bad by any means.
Right.
Yeah,
I cannot believe you're 4 hours by train away from Milan. I did not realize that. That's
yeah.
shocking to me. I mean, it seems like a long time to you, but not to me. That's great.
It's not ultra fast because I mean if you are in Rome you do get the real high speed and
Mhm.
it's even less. I think it's less than 3 hours, and basically we are in the same latitude, so one would imagine more or less the same distance, but they are faster trains on the left on the west part.
Okay, but still, great service along the whole Adriatic. I'm
Yeah.
impressed. Yeah. How about the Flixbus? A friend of mine likes to, he lives in Marche, and they like to take the Flixbus to Rome. Do you guys have Flixbus service there
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well?
Yeah, absolutely. FlixBus coverage is pretty strong. I personally only took it once because if I have to go to Rome, I normally go with another company. It's called Pronto Bus. It's basically run service every 1 hour and a half, 2 hours to the airport. So I always use them. So you have like 12, 13 buses on one day. So if you want to go to the airport, so they leave you exactly outside the airport, and the ticket was 25 euros more or less to go, and it's
Okay.
2 hours and 15, 2 hours 30 minutes more or less.
It would be a tough day trip, I think. You'd have to leave awfully early and get back awfully late. But an overnight, that's an incredibly inexpensive way to get to Rome for an
Yeah,
overnight. So,
exactly.
yeah, totally
Exactly.
delightful. Obviously, you're proximal to water. That's not a question when you consider how close Chieti is to the ocean, the Adriatic. What about other things? You've got the Maiella and the Sasso there for hiking. Talk to me about those things and other cultural areas of interest for people. What is there to do that's wonderful there?
Yeah, so yeah, basically, if you want to ski, they always say that Abruzzo has both the sea and the mountains, within 50 kilometers. And it's true because if you go to the Maiella mountain, when you are skiing, you can see the sea. And so it's not something that you can have in many regions. We have in Roccaraso, maybe if needed, I can chat you the name so you can provide it
Sure.
to your listeners.
Hmm.
Roccaraso is the southernmost, the biggest southernmost ski resort in Europe. We have a lot of ski. How do you say the ski tracks? The
The slopes. Slopes?
yeah. There are quite a lot of them in Roccaraso, and then, like you said, in Campo Imperatore, you have the southernmost glacier in Europe. It's 2,900 meters, which I'm not sure how much is in feet. Let me see quickly. It's 9,500. So,
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah. And you have snow whole year, so you can even go in summer. In summer, it's popular to go there and hike, to reach the glacier. And you also have a lot of art cities nearby. You have Atri, for example, in the
Mm.
Teramo province, Guardiagrele. So you can Penne in Pescara province. There are some popular destinations which are not explored yet. There have been a lot of investment recently. Even with my channel, I've been talking with a lot of expats, that have invested in Italy, and they created all sorts of nice things. For example, there is a lady from Poland which opened a farm in the Chieti province, and she does foraging. Yeah. She opened the Gnome restaurant, mixing Italian and Polish recipes with foraging. She gets their own herbs, It's really, really nice. Really nice.
Wow, that's unique.
Yeah, indeed.
With the proximity to the mountains comes a risk for seismic or earthquake activity. And Abruzzo is definitely one of those regions that can suffer from that and has suffered from that in specific locations. So that's one type of natural disaster. There are other kinds of natural disasters that people want to be aware of and think about too. Things like flooding, fire. You don't have volcanoes. That's good. Talk to me a little bit about natural disaster risks and what that looks like in Chieti.
Yeah. So the worst thing you mentioned is the earthquakes in Abruzzo, but honestly, you only get those in the central part of Abruzzo, so in the L'Aquilas province. If you check any seismic map, I think they are called that way. You will see that as you move towards the coast, you will see that the level, the magnitude of the earthquakes goes low and low and low. And I checked this because, again, I mentioned I was born in Bussi, which is in the center of Abruzzo, and my wife is scared of earthquakes, so we checked, thoroughly all the things. And here, you can only get earthquakes up to 5.7, which is still bad, of course. Don't get me wrong, it's bad, but it's not like it's never a destroying earthquakes. Even if you go backwards in history, you will see there wasn't any major event except the one of the 1922, but the building techniques were different back then. And
so true. And Italy is very strict now, right? I imagine you being involved in real estate, you probably actually have your finger on the pulse of that. Definitely.
Yeah.
All the seismic upgrades that have to be done.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also got some money from Europe even before COVID. But after COVID, we also get a lot of influx of money that the government decided to direct into the buildings. So it was the 110%, it was called. So basically, the government.
Super bonus? Bonus 110?
Yes. Yes, exactly. So there is a lot of activity going on, a lot of renovation now. And like you said, strict rules when it comes to, renovating the buildings. So even in the center of Abruzzo now, it's good. But where we are now in coastline, more or less, the risk is way lower.
Good. And then in terms of flood, do you guys have any problems with flooding? That's been an unusual year in Italy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, flooding, you never know. I can tell from experience that in Chieti we never had any river flooding, or we didn't have any major issue. But how can I say for sure that we will never have?
No.
Yeah.
None of us can say.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not like Liguria. Liguria, if you Google it, every 2 years there's something going on with the flooding. So instead, in Abruzzo, it's not major. There are not major events. I think we have a lot of trees, greens, so they block the flooding. So the natural beauty is helping with that. So it's not really an issue. And
okay.
Yeah, no.
Fire not either? Is fire of concern very much?
Even there, you don't know, because every year is different. Like they say that it's depending on how hot the situation is every year. But I think there are some people, unfortunately, are often burning forests. So it's yeah.
Like
so
controlled burns?
I'm not sure we are talking about the same thing here, because control burns are those farmers that maybe need to burn an area, and that's maybe there's an accident and a fire starts. That's rare. But there are people lighting fire on purpose somewhere in Italy. So it's not something that happens, of course, all the time, but you might get one of those things.
Okay.
But I'm seeing the situation now. You are from the USA. I'm following the news in the Hawaii, and I'm seeing Canada. I mean, it's no more, no less than other countries, I would say.
Fire is horrible, no matter where it happens,
Yes.
but it's good to know that it's not a huge alarm there. Let's switch to something a little more fun for a minute now that we've talked. Oh, actually, before we switch to something fun, let's talk about weather. What is the weather like there? I'm assuming that you're so close to the coast that you've got to be humid. Coldest cold, highest heat. What's weather like?
Let me see. In July was pretty bad. So we got even 42 degrees Celsius, which is 107 Fahrenheit. So it was pretty bad. And now it's midnight and we have 68 Fahrenheit.
Oh,
so,
beautiful.
Yeah.
That's
So,
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. But generally, June through September, you get anything from 82 Fahrenheit. I'm doing the conversion now to 91.
Okay.
In the evenings, you are always around 68, 69. So it's pretty nice. And winters are not that cold. We do get occasional snow.
Oh,
Chieti is 350 meters, 1,100 feet. So it's not high, but we do get some occasional snow. But generally, it's mild winters. I would say the worst you can have normally it's around 41 Fahrenheit. It's livable, but this is the absolute worst.
Okay. When a person is thinking about heating or cooling there, and obviously with evaluating homes, et cetera, that's going to be an issue. What are utility costs like there? I hear from friends in Puglia, friends in Marche, that utility costs since Ukraine was invaded have been just horrific.
No, it depends on various factors. How recent is your house? What kind of fixtures, windows you have? If your walls are insulated, if your heaters, radiators are on the wall, or if you are underfloor. Very difficult to say. How much warmth you want in your place? It is increasing. Last winter, I mean, I'm happy to share. I think the worst we got was 210 euros for 2 months.
How big is your house, Rino?
It's quite big. It's 2,000 square feet.
Oh, okay. And 200 a month.
No, 200 for 2 months.
Oh, for 2 months. Oh,
yes.
Rino, that is not horrific.
Exactly. This is good, but for example, I have new fixtures and I have underfloor heating and I have walls insulation. Whereas my father, which is in Bussi, he got 600 euros for 2 months, and the house, right, same size more or less. Simply because the building is built different, because that house is from the 80s. My house is from 2010. So it's really many factors that plays an important part in it. But now, with the renewable energy, people have solar panels. Even in that case, I think if you come here and you invest, definitely check also those things. What is the situation in the house with the renewables, turbine, solar panels, geothermal. It's not so much popular in Abruzzo, but you never know.
Yeah. Okay. Good advice. At the beginning of this conversation, I cut you off because you wanted to tell me about something that you're doing today that I think everybody would love to hear about. I know I want to, but I wanted to share it. Tell me and everybody else a little bit about what you were doing today that was unique to your area and the culture there.
Yeah, absolutely. Today I was in Altino, which is a little town in the Chieti province. I think 40 minutes drive from here, so not super close, not super far. And basically, I was in a sagra. Sagras they are all over in every town in Abruzzo for the whole summer. Every town has his own product. So, for example, in my original town, there are trouts and shrimps. So you will have the sagra of trout and shrimps. Whereas today I was in the sagra of sweet pepper of Altino, which is basically a red pepper, which is not spicy, but instead it's sweet, and they do all sorts of things things with this pepper. So they have some sort of sauce, or they did pork stew. There was rabbit, the eggs, all sort of things, and it was super nice because the town is small. It's 3,000 people living, and there is a small city center. The classical city center Italian. With the bricks, the church, the small hallways. It was just great music, people, and I will have a vlog about this. So if you want to take a look at the video,
Oh, we would
please do
love
so.
that.
Yeah.
Yes, great idea. That's awesome.
It will be in 2 weeks, but definitely if you are in Italy or if you're living here, you have every day there is a sagra going on. It can be anything. It can be a rosticini.
Tell people a little bit about that. That's a local or a regional.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if delicacy is the word, but a regional food that's important to know. Tell them about that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we are popular most. I would say probably most of everything for this. It's not a case that the first food that came to my mind is a rosticini, even though it's not. I like them, but it's not my absolute favorite. And they are basically meat skewers that are made from sheep meat, and they are around 20 to 30 grams, depending who does those. I'm not sure about the conversion.
That's okay. People can look it up.
You can eat up to, even there it varies, but 10 to 25 depending on the person, So, and those are very popular in Abruzzo. They are literally everywhere. You can have it for roughly €1 each, more or less.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So 10 I'm not going to be able to say it.
10 arrosticini.
Yeah, arrosticini for 10
nice.
euros. That's nice.
Yes.
Okay. Aren't they sometimes done over an open fire or a grill kind of a thing? Did I see that?
They are cooked on the charcoal, but not in a typical BBQ that you might think. It's not like the Weber or the Camado. Not one of those circular grills. There is a specific grill that we call fornacella. Yeah, I'm sorry, this is the name. There is no translation, which is basically a rectangular barbecue. It's just the right width for those arrosticini. So they go there, one next to the other, and then you cook 30 to 50 per time. And and that's about it.
Yeah. All right. So does Chieti have its own local food that is specialized?
Yes. Chieti may be the city. I'm not sure what is the best, because being a big city, you never get, one single product. So I'm not sure. But here around, there are a lot of things. You have sweets. Of course, again, arrosticini are always there, or types of pasta. There is one particular that we like. It's called the mugnaia. Maybe Google it. It's very good. It's a long, imagine one spaghetti length, but imagine that they are 15 spaghetti tied together. So it's a large one, and it's very interesting.
And there's got to be amazing seafood.
True. We have the Adriatic where we can fish. So in Pescara, mostly it's more popular because it's exactly on the seaside. Chieti is more meat lovers in a way. You start to feel that hillside mountain vibe.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but you still get it. And basically, just a curiosity for you and your listeners, people from Chieti go to the sea in Francavilla, and people from Pescara go to Pescara. Like, it's rare that people from Chieti go to Pescara. There is some sort of, fun rivalry.
Okay.
Nothing really a problem, but there's a rivalry,
That is funny. I hear a lot about Francavilla. That's often spoken of in both travel and immigrant sites. So
it's cheaper than Pescara, and you basically get the same
hot tip.
The same. Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Great
it's
to
basically
know.
the same. You don't even recognize that you change city when you're driving, because they are just tied together. So it's the same.
Sandy beach or pebbly
Sandy.
beach? Sandy beach. Okay, like white sandy beach. Nice. All right, beautiful. Yeah. And I don't know the word pronunciation. I read it all the time. But the tromboci, the fishing, the big
trabocchi. Yeah, of
Hamburg.
course. Yeah.
Is this in the right region? Are we talking about the right region for those, or am I in the wrong region for those?
No, you are in the right region. It's just a little bit further south. So from Francavilla, then you have Ortona, and then you have San Vito, and then the Trabocchi coast starts. I would say 30 kilometers more or less from here. Generally, there the water is cleaner. The southern you go, the cleaner the water, but a little bit less services. If you go
Okay.
in Pescara, it's like Rimini in a way. It's big city and the powerhouse of the region, so you get that vibe. Whereas if you go further south, you get a more rural and
Natural, maybe. More natural
yeah, not
beaches. Yeah.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Also, a really good tip. That
Yeah,
sounds gorgeous.
yeah.
Let's talk for a minute about restaurants and pricing. Those of us who are interested in affordable living in Italy, there are regions that or cities that we're clearly not going to be able to eat out in very often. I mean, there are always probably affordable options, but Chieti as a city and as a region may be easier on the wallet for us. What does that look like? A meal out for two? Give me a high and a low range. I think you also have some Michelin star restaurants.
Yes, we do. We do. There is a lot of Michelin restaurants here, and they are worth it. And the Michelin restaurant, maybe start with the end. I think the most expensive one, it's Nico Romito, but he is 3 stars, and he is in Castel di Sangro, in L'Aquilas province. That's a food experience I like to go. So I think his menu now it's 280 per person without wines. So,
Okay.
but that's
That's a
okay. That
three-star Michelin restaurant. This
yes,
is not, yes, yes.
exactly.
Mhm.
So I mean, it seems expensive. Maybe it is,
Yeah.
but yeah.
But it's a
Where
Michelin 3 stars. Yeah.
yeah, maybe so going down the ladder, you also have 1 stars Michelin stars, and you're able to eat there, from 80 to 120 per
Okay.
person. So
Okay.
not too bad, I
Mhm.
would say.
For a Michelin
And
star, yeah.
yeah, not and it's really an experience. Those 3 or 4 restaurants that are really good. We have to thank Nico for this. If you Google him, Nico Romito, he has done a lot for the region, and
Hmm.
he has a school, and many of his alumni have invested also here. So it's really nice.
Nice.
And then you have the regular restaurant, the seafood restaurant, the pizza, the rosticini, so really anything for your pockets. But I will say the cheapest are what we call the trattoria, which is a not too fancy restaurant.
Okay.
But
Sure.
they are
Sure.
not bad. It's just
Family
more.
eating, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So you can still eat there for 20 to 25 euros each. So
Okay.
the dinner for two, 40 to 50.
Okay.
And then, of course, depends if you get wine, if you get premium beer, But
Sure.
if you're just there, just let's go out for a pizza, and you can go out with less than 40 euros.
Okay.
Seafood, I would say, of course, more expensive. You can range from 35 each to 70. And the meat also, the meat has gone up.
Mm.
Now in the restaurant is around 5 or 6 euros per 100 grams. How do you measure in ounces?
Yeah, we do ounces. Yeah.
Let's see how much it is. So you can tell me if it's a lot or no. So 100 grams is 3.5 ounces. 5 or 6 euros per 100 grams now. So the meat has gone up recently. I mean, inflation is everywhere. So
And grain being affected from Ukraine.
even though we didn't get so much grain from Ukraine
Mm.
directly, but still that impacted the whole market. So prices will be on the rise, I think, for additional months. And but again, it's like this everywhere. It's not just Italy. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm assuming you have both regular store type markets, brick and mortar, as well as open markets.
Yeah, of course. Open markets are in Chieti. I think there is every day. The open market.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we try to shop locally, me and my wife, a lot. We don't go to malls that often. We want to use local products. We eat a lot of products, we like everything. So it's not like, okay, I don't eat this, I don't eat it. We like everything. So whatever we find is good. And there are stores that we call them Kilometro Zero. I don't know if you
Yes. Yeah, that whole idea of that. Love that.
Yeah, there is a store in Chieti. It's called Campagna Amica, which translates like farming is your friend, more or less.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure. I love it.
yeah. So basically, you go there and you can see that the vegetables are different. You can tell from the vegetables, and though they have only in these stores they have only vegetables, bread, and some milk products. Only those three things.
Interesting.
And but from where they come, there's a farm around, and that they were maybe harvested just 1 week before, it's 1 day before, so it's really nice. And we get connection there, there's a different type of relationship even with the store owners. And of course, I'm not saying we don't go to malls. Of course we do go to malls to for major shopping.
Life has to happen. Yeah. I'm certain that your open markets and even the farming is your friend. Is that what
Yeah, more
farming is
or
your friend
less.
store?
Yes.
Yes. I'm sure that those are probably less expensive than those same kinds of kilometer zero stores when they exist. In the States, my husband loves to tell a story. We used to tandem bike together, and I would only bike for a treat. So I could bike all day as long as I got my treat. And I remember we stopped at a really cute little open market, all organic stuff, and I bought a $5 peach. He never got over
Wow.
that. But I was getting
Uh,
my treat, Reno.
of course. I mean, the treat is the peach, so it was good treat. It wasn't like a tiramisu, so it's fair enough.
True.
Wow,
But yeah,
$5.
for people to buy in season organic produce, local, it's not always inexpensive. Yeah.
No, here it's. I'm not saying it's completely the contrary, but recently, that there was this misconception that buying those products will be more pricey. But now, the last couple of years, that prices are rising. In the big chains. In reality, you don't see a lot of difference. It's just that now the mindset is that you go and you shop in malls. So you don't even try to explore new things. Thankfully, my wife, she loves to cook, and she does
Lucky
all
guy.
sort of. Yeah, exactly.
Great.
She does all sort of research. So
Great. Okay.
yeah.
Do you know any immigrants in your area who are aging there in Chieti? One of the things that's ever present on our mind is if we decide to stay in Italy for the long term, if we make that the last home, what does it look like for people who are not Italian and don't have family there to support them to age in place there?
Yeah, I think now it's easier than 10 years ago simply because of the power of the social network. For example, we met on the social network. So,
Hmm.
I'm a member of an expat community here, and I constantly see people, supporting themselves. And of course, if it was even 15 years ago, this wouldn't be the case. Italy is not Denmark. It's not like everyone speaks English, so might be trickier due to the language barrier. Possibly, but I don't see, any issue. I know people that have been living here, for the past 15 years, and they never left. So I think it's possible, and with the benefit of social networks groups, you can have also an amazing life, even socially.
Yeah, to be connected that way actually does change the picture. I hadn't actually really even thought about that. I do know that some people use what's called a badante, and I'm
Yeah.
wondering if there are actually like assisted living or nursing home type facilities in and around Chieti.
I'm not sure. There are because I've seen it all the time. Thankfully, since my parents didn't explore any of these possibilities, but my grandfather was in one of those facilities, so they are there, and I think I think he was paying, since with the topic, I mean, it's affordable Italy. He was
Thank you.
paying, I think it's only 900 to 1,100 euros monthly. And I
Wow.
don't think it's bad.
No, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a family member that I think is in the range of $6,000 a month, and that's
Yeah,
actually
no.
people tell me low on the scale.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
unbelievable here. So that's good news.
I
And
mean, we should compare the services. I mean, it's
sure,
totally fine
sure.
here.
Mhm.
It's totally fine. I cannot see how they could be better because it was perfectly
Hmm.
taken care of. I think it's doable if you need to go into one of these facilities. Hopefully not, but
Okay.
yeah, you
Yeah.
can.
But good to know that that support is there and the choice could be made to stay. And comparative to the US, 900 to 1,000 euros
Yeah.
is reachable by most people, not necessarily what they would pay here. Oh, great. I'm wondering about local native attitudes about those of us who come in from the outside. Are they inclusive of people from other countries and not just accept that they're there, but do they welcome them into their lives and become friends?
I mean, I've read stories about people, for example, cutting grass without asking anything or bringing food, without,
Hmm.
those nice little gestures, which I think tell a much larger story about the attitude. I think, especially in little towns that are losing people nowadays, because, Italy has a problem with the newborns. We are similar to Japan,
Yeah.
we're not having a lot of kids. So I think people are starting to realize that influx from abroad is actually good. So they don't see it as negative or anything. If anything, I think positive. But of course, the difficulty is the English, because not everyone speaks English, and especially elderly people have much more difficulty. So I think that's the only barrier. If
Okay.
you come, and you speak a little bit of Italian, it's piece of cake. You will blend it just amazingly.
That's amazing. You've actually just completely answered all of my last questions in that. That's
In,
perfect.
but we can expand.
Why do you consider Chieti a good and affordable place for immigrants to come and live? What would you say would be, nobody has a better feel, I think, for the current housing market than you do because you are out there combing it and videotaping it and presenting it.
Yes.
Yeah. So, what would be the things that you feel make Chieti the right place for immigrants?
I think in Chieti you can still get that Italian vibe thing because you have the old town, it's the old city, so you get those historical city center, you get the stunning theater, you get a wonderful park. So in the city center you get that vibe, but on the other hand you are living a real life. So there's a time when you want to go to a specific restaurant, there's a time when you want to go to the beach, there's a time that you need to go to a train, there's the time that you want to visit Rome. And I think that the connection, the proximity to all range of services, without stressing too much, it's what makes this area really worth it, because ultimately living in the town, in the hills or in the mountains, it's don't get me wrong, it's amazing, whatever. But if you need to drive 45 minutes to go to a hospital, if you have to do it once per month,
Mm-hmm.
it's something to factor in,
Absolutely. And especially
yeah,
with aging on the
yeah,
horizon.
exactly.
I thought we all
Yeah,
love the idea of the dream
yeah,
farm out there,
exactly.
but yeah.
By all means, if someone is listening and you have to come here, buy a farm, by all means do that. We have plenty of land. It's not Chieti where you want to buy because Chieti is a city. But, if you are just coming here to live without spending too much, but still having all the services, enjoy a good walk, low criminality, all sorts of
Good,
things that
good point.
ultimately make life. I think Chieti is a really good compromise.
Definitely opened my eyes. Definitely. There's so
Cool.
much to the amenities that Chieti has, as well as the cultural and, kind of that old world feel, like you were saying as well.
Yeah.
You can hit on all cylinders, as they say. Thank you
Cool.
so much for spending this time with us, Rino. Tell us a little bit more about what your services are and what you do. I always like to preface this with, I have not utilized your services, so I
Yeah.
can't make a personal recommendation based on that. But everything that I saw in your One Stop Abruzzo videos was excellent. I mean, that videography that you manage is fantastic. You're very easy to understand. I love that you didn't just show the house. I don't want to give any competition the tip away though, because I love that you also showed the cultural things around there. There was one particular video where I think it was a Greek theater.
Yeah. Also, it was in Chieti.
Yeah, you brought an expert in.
It was in Chieti.
You brought an expert in to talk about the history of that Greek theater. This is excellent stuff. So tell us a little bit more about what you do and when and why a listener might have you become part of their story.
Basically, the idea of getting involved in the real estate property, and I stole the idea from a guy in Portugal, actually. So kudos to him. If people want to see him, by all means, the channel is called OK Portugal. So he bought a farm in Portugal and he started doing those real estate videos. And I was like, why shouldn't we do the same in Abruzzo? Because I lived abroad and I know that when you call a real estate agent and you have a foreign number or you don't speak the language, you always have more difficulties. So I was like, okay, I'm going to, first of all, be the bridge between the buyer and the seller. So I can support buyers and sellers. And I am a project manager in my daily life. So I have a mindset to work, so I'm very precise on the scheduling of the videos and the editing, etc. And I have a way to communicate, which is always, fast and precise. And I want to bring this into the channel. And if you see all of my videos, I am also very clear with the real estate agent. I'm always like, guys, if there is a problem with this house, I'm going to say on this video, do you want to still do the video? Because I'm going to express my opinion like, okay, this is bad. Like, I don't like this. If you see the videos, you often see comments, like, hey, well, why did they do this? Why?
The unbiased, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the vision, and that's what I'm willing to convey. And the channel is growing. I mean, YouTube is a tough business. I opened it, I think, early May or end of April, and I have almost 3,000 subscribers, which by YouTube standards, of course, they are not a lot.
But that's good.
Yeah, it's okay. They are growing daily. I'm happy.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I just absolutely, like I said, I love that you enrich them because it isn't just about the house. I have a friend who lives in Marche. Many of us on our Facebook group know Mark Hinshaw. One of his bits of advice for people who want to move to Italy is first find your region, then find your town, and then look for your house in that order. It's really important and it's really good advice. So knowing the region and knowing what's attractive, you're helping with that in your videos when you flesh out life in those areas. Instead of me just looking at a house and dream building about what I would do with it or, whatever, to know that this is an area that I would like to live my life in. So I think that's a really good niche for you.
Yeah, it makes sense. Thanks, Nancy, for the feedback. And in the future, hopefully I can keep up.
Sure.
With
I can relate.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your time. I cannot imagine I'll ever have anybody that says, can we do midnight again?
Now it's 1:04.
Oh, goodness. We need to let you get to bed. I know you've got a couple of little folks that are going to wrangle you awake in the morning.
Tomorrow. Yeah.
Yep.
It was an absolute pleasure, Nancy. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. And folks can find you best at One Stop Abruzzo, correct?
Yes, correct. Absolutely. YouTube channel or website, but mostly I'm doing YouTube.
Okay.
Find me there.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I hope to run into you in Chieti.
Yes,
I would love that.
Course. If you absolutely call, I'm happy to have a coffee with you or other people that, absolutely.
That would be great. I'm sure a lot of people would love to take you up on that. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Nancy.
Ciao.
Ciao.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please like us and subscribe for more. We will continue to explore regions, towns, taxes, and tips here and on Facebook at Affordable Italy, Living La Dolce Vita on a Bootstring, at Instagram under the same name, and eventually ItalyIsAffordable.com. If you know anyone who is living in Italy who'd like to converse with me, I'd love to meet them via my email, ItalyIsAffordable@gmail.com. And now for that much anticipated limoncello. Chin chin!